I define myself by who I am, not what I do. I think one of the big challenges that a lot of people face is they intertwine their identity with their work. I am a lawyer. I am a fitness coach or whatever, somebody wants to do. And then if you lose that job by your choice or not your own choice, or if you have great success and you get older and you decide to leave, retire or do something else, I see a lot of people have an identity crisis because they no longer do the thing that they did. And so I don't mind what I do because I get to be an optimist in everything that I do. And the way I live my life is I live completely focused with a vision that is extremely far away, I'll never get there. I imagine a world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired, feel safe wherever they are, and end the day fulfilled by the work that they do. And for me, the objective is to figure out all the ways that I can to start moving closer and closer towards that world. I never, ever imagined that I would be an author. I was never one of those people who thought I had a book in them, And after every book I've written, I've said, okay, that's probably my last one. And I said that after the first one. But here I am, an author, because the opportunity showed up that I thought, oh, this is a good way to move towards that vision, right? Then people would invite me to speak about my ideas. And I thought, okay, never, ever wanted to be a public speaker. I actually am more of a behind the scenes person. I've never desired to be on the front of a proscenium. But when the opportunities presented themselves, I thought, well, this is a very good way for me to spread this message and to spread this vision. And so when you ask me, what do? I do anything that I need to do to advance towards that vision. I like testing things in real life. Many of my ideas are from real life scenarios where it's not like practice. Okay, it's ready for the real world now. There have been more than one occasion where I've walked out on stage and go, okay, they brought me in to talk about this, but I'm having some new ideas. Are you guys okay if I try talking about this? It might completely fail. I just wanted to get some, and like people, especially you pick your audiences, you pick a room full of entrepreneurs, they're fine with it. And then I would try new things. I think what makes it work is very often when we do these things, we show up with a selfish disposition, right? I hope they like me. I hope they like my work. I hope they buy my book. I hope they go to my website. I hope they follow me on social media. And we act that way. People can tell. And so I've learned early to show up with a giver's mentality. I don't care if they like me. I don't care if they buy a book. I don't care if they follow me on social media or not. All I know is I have something that I think is really valuable, and I'm going to give it to you. I want to give it to you. And I believe, and I'm giving it to you with all of my gusto and all of my energy. And so like, I remember, people would apologize because they said there's going to be this size event and like only half the number of people showed up and they're apologizing. And I know a lot of speakers who would get angry. You promised me this size audience. And I was like, well, I just feel sorry for the people who didn't show up, because the people who did show up are going to get all of me. I hold back nothing. And I think when you show up with a giver's heart, and I literally will say that before I go out on the stage, I will literally say under my breath before I step on the stage, you're here to give. I will remind myself that what I'm about to do is an act of generosity. I think I have something pretty and I want to share it. And people can tell. And so you have a wide berth when you show up with a giver's heart. You can make mistakes and you can stumble over your words and you can talk a little bit too much like I am right now. And people are just fine with it. So I think, we're highly attuned social animals. And if you show up to give, you can, believe it or not, you can experiment a lot. Many years ago, I had a meeting at the Pentagon, of all places, with a big fancy general. And I was waiting in the foyer, just waiting for him. And somebody comes to get you.
Yeah.
And you have hallway talk, because walking quietly down a hallway is too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so you have hallway talk, which is nonsense. It's things like, how's, hot day out today? Or did you have an easy trip?
Totally.
And
yes,
it's just nonsense. And as soon as you walk into the room, that ceases, right? Well, that's what happened to me. The general came to get me, and we were walking back to his office, and the hallway talk ensued. And he said, Simon, I had everyone in my office read your book. And I said, my publisher thanks you. And he said, tell them not to bother. I had them read my copy. So I learned total book sales, 1. Total impact, huge.
Yeah.
Versus I go to an event and they give away 500 free copies of my book, but they use them as, coasters and doorstops. Total book sales, 500, total impact, 0. And so I had to learn that it's not always easy to measure the impact that we have in the short term. Now, I know over the long term, book sales are a reflection of the value of my ideas and whether people want them. Otherwise, it would just stop selling. Like I know over the time, but in the short term, literally, it tells me nothing. And I think too many of us confuse that the short-term impacts that we're having are producing long-term value, or conversely, having no short-term impact means we're having no value.
Mm-hmm.
And so I treat it like exercise. I know that the process matters. So for example, you can't go to the gym for 9 hours and get into shape. It literally doesn't work, right? No matter how much effort you put in. But if you work out every single day for 20 minutes, guaranteed 100%, you will get into shape. When will you get into shape? No clue. No one knows. Over time. And everyone's different. Some people a little quicker, some people a little slower. And yet we are 100% sure, 100%, it'll 100% work. I just don't know when. And we're also obsessed with predicting when. It has to be this quarter, it has to be the end of the year, it has to be when we pay taxes, it has, whatever it is, and I got very comfortable saying, I know that if I stick to the process, work out every day for 20 minutes, I know 100% it's going to work, and I have to get comfortable that I have no control over when. Sometimes quicker, sometimes slower. You want to get into shape, you have to have the discipline to do it. You want to be healthy, you have to have the discipline to do it. And you have to get comfortable that you cannot predict when success happens. You just have to believe that the process works and you stick to the process. That's all I did. And we have to remember that there's nothing for free. There's nothing in this world that comes for free. And everything that you get comes at a cost. Always. And the only question is the cost worth it? And so if you want to achieve, there's people who've done extremely well. And the question is, at what cost? What we're talking about is the desire to have without paying for it. Which is, I want this, but I'm not willing to pay the cost, right? So for example, working really hard to get something, I want to achieve this. The cost is, I'm going to have a couple sleepless nights. I'm going to work a little harder. I'm going to miss out on some social events. I might be a little bit exhausted now and then. But for me, that's worth the cost because of what I'm trying to accomplish. And so I think what we're seeing is a misunderstanding of the cost to benefit. And by the way, it's not for us to say whether the cost that was worth it to us is worth it to other people. Right. It may not be, right? And that's not for us to decide. I think where we do get to interject is if you want to have something like what we've done, but you aren't willing to pay any cost and make any sacrifice, that's a complicated scenario. Right? Because ain't nothing for free. But it's not for us to determine what someone's ambitions should be either. If somebody is totally fine, here, right? And whatever here is defined as, it doesn't matter. It could be financial, it could be anything, whatever it is, right? If somebody's fine here and they don't work a lot of hours, right. And this is fine, and for them, this is very happy, I think that's fantastic. Right. I'm not telling anybody they have to live my way, your way, their way, this way, that way. I don't want to live one way either. I don't need max, whatever other people have, because I don't want to work to that degree either. I accept that there's some degree of things that I can achieve because I'm just not willing to do the work. Absolutely. I'm okay with that. A friend of mine who was a senior executive at a big company, mom, she had kids. She told me very early on when I was, she was like my work mom, I was entry level and she took me under her wing. She was a partner at the company. And I don't remember how the conversation came up, but I remember her telling me, she goes, any woman who decides to want a career and to be a mother, to be a working mother, has to get used to the idea that you're always going to disappoint someone. You just have to get used to it. You're either going to disappoint your company because you want to stay home with your kids, or you're going to disappoint your kids because you want to work late. Yep. You just have to get comfortable with the fact that you're always going to disappoint someone, or sometimes you disappoint yourself. But the point is what she was. There was another way of saying there's a cost for the choices I've made. And by the way, you can always change those choices too.
Right.
Like that's also on the table. Like none of these things are one and done.
Right. Etched in stone.
Etched in stone.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that COVID did for a lot of us, which is we went back and reevaluated some of the choices we made and thought, ooh,